very strong onshore flow. But point being, Nicole, winds at 45 right now. It'll move to the northwest, then to the southwest, and then back into Florida as either strong tropical storm or a hurricane. Winds at about 70, could be 74, which would make it a hurricane as it makes landfall by the time we get into Wednesday night. So that's not too far down the road. And then it could cross over into the Gulf and swim back to the north, which means it would keep some of the impacts around here for us even longer. And you see the system looks kind of ragged as a whole. That's why it's subtropical. It is a broader system. It'll look more classic as it strengthens, as it approaches. So it'll move into the northern Bahamas by 9 o'clock, the center of it, 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning. And at that point, it will be strengthening, and then it will move onshore, most likely just south of us. But then it makes that curl either into the Gulf or just right up our area, and then kind of lifting up to the north, which would keep even some rain bands in play for us all the way through Friday. So what are the key points here? Along the coast, evacuations are possible. We have those sand dunes that got ripped apart. A lot of the beaches don't have any at all. So evacuations possible along the coast. Inland, monitoring that flood potential. 4 to 8 inches of rain will be possible. 4 to 8. That would lead to some flooding, of course, around here. The water table is so high after Ian. Worst weather late Wednesday, and then potentially lingering into Friday. Now, for our day ahead today, some fast-moving showers and windy. You'll know something's out there. Highs will be in the low 80s. So coming up, I want to get back to the computer model. So I want to break down the American model. I want to get into the European model with this, take you out in time as this system moves in, and what it means for us, what action steps we need to take. All right, it is 7:03. Let's get on to everything I'm seeing. Now, first thing is the general track. Winds at 45. It'll strengthen gradually, and then as it approaches the Bahamas on Wednesday, it'll be a strong tropical storm or a hurricane. Hurricane winds are 74 or greater. It'll be right around that, and then making landfall just to the south of us. But a broad system, it'll have a large wind field as it moves in. So we're going to get those tropical storm conditions for us starting later on Wednesday. And you can see the watches are already up. Northern Bahamas tropical storm watches. Later today when you see Tom, we'll have some watches, and eventually they'll be switched to warning. So this system is coming into Florida, and it's just about fine-tuning all the details from here. So a broad system, that's why it's subtropical. Doesn't look like a classic system, but it will become a little more tropical in nature. But this is the American model. 2 o'clock today, it's offshore. By the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, it's still offshore, but that a persistent, just driving onshore wind. And that's one of the issues for days and days. That's why coastal flooding, already overwash, is going to happen starting tomorrow, even though the system is sitting over here. And then as we get into Wednesday, 4 o'clock, later on Wednesday, the rain bands start to work in. That's when conditions go downhill and move into the Bahamas, and then eventually make landfall as we get into late Wednesday and Thursday. So Thursday morning, it'll be on the peninsula, and at that point, we'll have the tropical storm conditions with us almost all day long. Then it may reemerge into the Gulf briefly before kind of swinging back to the north. So even on Friday, we could be dealing with some of those rain bands that will be with us. A long duration event once again. So some higher impacts, especially after Ian. So winds about 30 to about 50 miles per hour. We're going to lose some power in some spots, 4 to 8 inches of rain, but we'll be fine-tuning that. Seas are going to be about 14 to 17 feet on Wednesday. We are going to have the crashing surf, and that's why evacuations are going to be likely along parts of our coast, even a few possible inland where we could take on some flooding. Coming up, I want to break that down further. I want to get into the action steps with this, and I want to show you the European model out in time. We'll do that next.
That's an Artemis moon rocket next Monday. Of course, we've showed you right here on Eyewitness News this morning when NASA rolled out that rocket to the launch pad last week. This is NASA's third launch attempt for the mission. It scrubbed 2 other attempts after a faulty sensor and a liquid hydrogen leak. The Artemis 1 mission paves the way to send astronauts back to the surface of the moon.
100 stat.
That's crazy. So only 3 hurricanes have made landfall in the United States in the month of November since 1851, and this could be the 4th. So
hopefully we get to this week, and then we have 2 weeks
let's
left.
call it right. Let's call it done. All right, let's get you to it. Eye on the tropics. Let me get you to everything I'm seeing. Here's the track on Nicole. Winds are at 45 miles per hour. This will move a little bit to the northwest, then dive back down, then dive into central Florida. Look over those steering conditions, and then kind of landfall should be just west into South Florida, broad wind field in this, and then work its way potentially back into the Gulf or close by, and then back to the north. So with that track, it's going to be sticking around for a while. So late Wednesday all the way into Friday. We get a look at this. Here it is, kind of a ragged looking system, but these are the steering conditions. This is what I'm seeing. Now, here is Nicole, high pressure to the north. So try to lift to the north, bumps into this, can't move anywhere. This acts like a blocker. Winds around it are clockwise, so then it drives Nicole into our direction. And then Nicole gets into Florida, and then there's a front back here. Then it catches the front and then kind of lifts back to the north. That'll keep feeder bands around even longer. So that's kind of the weird track it is taken. I wanted to show you why it's going to be doing that. All right, here we go, out in time. This is by Tuesday, tomorrow evening. The system's still over here, but that strong northeasterly flow. Tomorrow, we're already going to see coastal flooding, overwash tomorrow just because of that nonstop onshore flow that is only going to pick up. Then on Wednesday, late Wednesday, that's when conditions go downhill. You see the rain bands working in. This is 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Could become a hurricane at that point, but either way, working its way close to us and South Florida. And then this is 9 o'clock on Thursday. We're locked into the tropical storm conditions. We'll have some power outages around. We'll be monitoring the coastal and inland flooding. And then the system kind of goes to the north, so that can keep some feeder bands around all the way into Friday. So as far as what we can expect today and tomorrow, pounding, surf, and windy. Wednesday, later on Wednesday, the rain bands move in, gusty winds and flooding all the way potentially into Friday. So at the coast, make those storm preps, have a go bag in case you're asked to evacuate. Inland, we could lose power, so refresh the hurricane kit, and even some spotty evacuations may be necessary just where we had the flooding with Ian, just to be on the safe side with things. So getting you through the forecast, a couple of quick moving showers today, 84. Spotty showers tomorrow, turning windy. Conditions go downhill late Wednesday. Then we get those tropical storm conditions that will be with us. So plenty to cover. I'll keep you posted coming up. I want to get back to all those spaghetti models, all those computer models. We'll do that. It's just very latest I'm seeing out there with this system, which is headed our way. Now, we're more vulnerable because of what we had with Ian, and we all know that. Typically, a system like this, you know, you kind of have to brace for what we'd handle, but we've lost a lot of the dunes along our coast. The water table's so high inland, so we have a lot of flooding concerns. Now, this is Nicole, winds at 45. It's a subtropical storm, just means the winds, strongest winds aren't all at the center. It's kind of a broader system. It'll move a little bit to the north and curl back in. By the time we get into Wednesday night, a landfall very close to us or just south, either as a strong tropical storm or hurricane. And then another issue is it kind of curls back to the north as it gets caught into a front, and that'll leave some of the rain bands around even on Friday. So here's the system. You see kind of how sloppy it looks. A broader wind field with this, which means more expansive winds, which means overall we're going to continue with that very strong onshore flow. And even though this is offshore tomorrow, we're going to get some of that coastal flooding and overwash starting as soon as tonight and then through the day tomorrow. So this is 2 o'clock today. You see the system here. Here we are, and there's that very strong onshore flow. Then as we go forward in time, this is by the time we get into tomorrow afternoon, most of the action offshore, but we'll get that coastal flooding. And then by the time we get into Wednesday, approaching landfall as we get into Wednesday night near us and just south. And then it makes that curl back to the north. So tropical storm conditions on Thursday. There'll be some dry pockets too, but we could be dealing with this all the way through Friday. So what the heck does this mean for us? At the coast, make those preps, have a go bag ready. There'll be some evacuations inland. Refresh those hurricane kits. We can have spotty evacuations in spots where we have flooding with Ian. I'll keep you posted on everything.